Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another book recommendation video, and this time I'm going to be talking to you about age gap recommendations. This is one of my favorite tropes. I just love when there's an age gap. It doesn't matter if the guy's older, if the girl's older, but for some reason that like slightly forbidden aspect I really am a big fan of. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. The first book that I want to recommend is Culty by Mariana Zapata. This book is very popular, just like all of Mariana Zapata's books are, but if you haven't heard about it, it follows Sal, who's a 27-year-old soccer player. She's a professional soccer player, and she finds out that her new coach for the team is actually her longtime crush and idol, Culty, who played professional soccer. I think he's quite a bit older than her. I can't remember, but she used to watch him as a kid play professional soccer. That's how there's quite a big difference in age there. They end up having quite a rough start at the beginning, but they do quickly become really good friends. The banter and everything between them is so nice. It's so fun. He's definitely very grumpy, very brooding. It was just hilarious, this book. And the great thing about this book is that I was just so invested in the soccer and the world and stuff that Mariana Zapata built in addition to their romance. It's definitely, just like all of her books, a very slow burn, like very slow burn. Especially as I'm going back and reading her older stuff, I noticed that the stuff at the beginning are even more slow burn than stuff like more recently published. I just love their like rare sweet moments and because they're very much a bantery couple, but there is like these slightly sweet moments that just like mean the world to Sal that Culty does, and it's just so cute to see. But if you haven't picked up this book for some reason, definitely do that. The next book that I want to recommend is Powerless by Elsie Silver, and this is the third book in the Chestnut Spring series, but actually I think all of them except maybe the first one is age gap. But I wanted to specifically talk about Powerless because I feel like I talk about Heartless and Reckless like all the time. So I wanted to give a shout out to Powerless. This one is a friends to lovers story. So this one follows Sloane and Jasper. So it starts off with Sloane actually on her wedding day, and she ends up hearing some news about her fiance, so she actually flees the wedding, and Jasper is her getaway car, is like drives the getaway car for her. So she decides to spend some time at the family ranch with the other brothers from Chestnut Springs. She grew up with Jasper and they've always been really good friends, but technically Jasper is like an adoptive brother for them, so they're not actually related. So that's an important part. As she realizes a lot about herself as in this time that she has off. Like, she was marrying this guy solely for duty to her father, and she just decides she really grows in the story and really learns to stand up for herself, which I just found like really powerful. I don't always love the friends to lovers trope, but for them, I thought it was really well done. There is some flashbacks, so you do get some context to their friendship and to their relationship, which I find really like I need in a lot of friends to lovers. So I actually really liked their friendship and their relationship and their dynamic and everything, which sometimes if it's too much friends, I am like, this feels too friendly, like it doesn't really feel like a relationship. But my favorite part is just like seeing Sloane's growth throughout this thing, and also her slowly realizing that Jasper has supported her in everything that she's done, but sort of behind the scenes. This one is more, I want to say, Sloane's journey and just figuring herself out, and I just really loved it. The next book I have to recommend is Faking with Benefits by Lily Gold. This one is a reverse harem that follows three roommates that live across the hall from the female main character, and they are all podcasters. They have a dating and advice show. The female main character asks them to teach her how to date. After several horrible attempts at dating, she asks them for advice and help on how to date, and so they decide to do this fake dating experiment on their show as a segment on their show, where they're taking her on dates and teaching her how to date. I do think this book is a little long for what it is, but it's such a fun rom-com, which you don't really see with reverse harems very often, but I really think this one's just a lot of fun. This is a really fun one. They're all slightly older than her, except for one of them is, I think, significantly older than her, if I remember correctly. The next book I have to recommend is actually also a reverse harem as well as age gap. So this one is Small Town Strings by N.A. Jemisin. I absolutely loved this one. I could not put this book down. I read it so quickly. I loved it. I loved it so much. This one follows Willow and her 3 brothers' best friends. So it's all 3 of her brothers' best friends, which I already love brothers' best friend tropes. It's got just all the tropes that I absolutely love. Small town, brothers' best friend, reverse harem. Like, honestly, I loved so much about this. Basically, Willow has been crushing on her brother's best friends for her entire life, and once she finally gets the courage to tell them about her feelings, they sort of run her out of town because she's a really good singer and they don't want to hold her back in the small town. So they sort of lie to her and run her out of town in order to get her to pursue her music career. But she is finally at the peak of her music career and she wants to settle back and take a back seat and actually start producing music for other people instead. So she moves back to her hometown where she meets up with the 3 brothers' best friends. They quickly have to apologize to her and she definitely makes them earn her forgiveness, and this one is just a lot of fun again. And it's also got a romantic suspense element to it because she has a stalker. So I don't want to spoil anything with that, but there's also a romantic suspense element to this book as well. So many, it's literally chock full of great tropes. I had a great time reading this, and I think you will too. And the last book I have to recommend for you is Fall into India Place by Samantha Young. This is the 4th book in her On Dublin Street series. This one follows Hannah and Marco. They meet when they are kids, sort of, where he actually defends her from being bullied, and they end up forming this slight friendship and crush when they're both in high school, although he is, I think, a senior and she's in so there is a 5-year age gap, something like that. He obviously does not want to pursue anything with her because she's so much younger, and he just doesn't think he's good enough for her. So he walks out of her life and leaves her brokenhearted, and they end up meeting again years later. Marco has done a lot of growing since then, and he finally wants to pursue a relationship with Hannah, but Hannah obviously does not make it that easy, and he has to work for her forgiveness. He is so determined not to lose her again after what happened when they were younger, that he will not let her go, and it's so cute. I really loved this one. Again, it is friends to lovers, but because you get backstory in context of their relationship when they're younger, I feel like it makes sense why they never got together as friends, because it's friends to strangers to lovers. And anyways, I absolutely loved this book. I love all the books in this series, but I think this is the only one that's got a significant age gap in it. And that is all the books I have to recommend for you today. I'm sorry about the lighting, that it's been kind of crazy as this video has gone on, but it's the only time I have to film. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and please give this a thumbs up. It really helps support my channel. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.